A thread by Carlos Oswita. It's really funny to hear Susan Rice refer to anyone as a clown. Her take on the Russia paid the Taliban bounties claim is especially moronic. From Breitbart.com, Susan Rice, Trump administration is a clown show. Look, I was a national security advisor. I can tell the American people with certainty that we don't ever, or very, very rarely, have 100% certainty. What? So you're not certain of what you yourself are saying? I can believe it. Under Susan Rice, the Obama administration armed and trained Islamists in Syria. One such group was Harakat Nur al-Din al-Zenki, which kidnapped and beheaded 19-year-old Syrian Arab army soldier Abdullah Issa. There he is. The terrorists taunted Issa, who had thalassemia, for hours before murdering him. Iranians took him from a Syrian military hospital because he looked like a child due to his condition, and the Iranians delivered him to Susan Rice's murderers. Issa knew he would be killed, so all he asked was to be shot, not beheaded. He was very calm. His beheading was extremely savage. Susan Rice's people. She covered up for Al-Qaeda in Benghazi. I initially gave her the benefit of the doubt, but now I realize that she was all in when it came to defending Islamist terrorists at the expense of American lives. Guess who sabotaged Rice's plans? The Saudis. They fooled Obama, Rice, John Brennan, and Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel. The Saudis weren't stupid enough to give BGM-71 TOW anti-tank guided missiles to Islamist terrorists. So, the Saudis gave the rebels missile launchers with no thermal sights. This one is a TOW set in Syria. This one is a TOW with a thermal sight. See, there's your thermal sight. There's the lack of a thermal sight. The thermal sight lets the gunner guide the missile in dusty, smoky, foggy, and rainy conditions. Not one TOW set in Syria had a thermal sight. The Saudis attached professional commandos to rebel groups and fired unknown missiles at targets. The men filmed firing the missiles never took cover. They were actors. They fired missiles at nothing. And then that video was edited together with a real missile strike. This is a radio-guided missile with a fuel-air explosion and fragmentation warhead. The missile had a radio antenna and no control surfaces, otherwise known as wings. It uses thrust vectoring to control the flight, but the exhaust vents are on the sides, not the rear. The bright dot right here is the xenon gas beacon that lets the gunner use the thermal sight to steer the missile. The radio antenna, this white dot, means that spread spectrum frequency hopping is used to send radio commands to the missile in flight. The frequency is changed millions of times per second, so the missile is unjammable. And what about the warhead? The blast effect of a fuel-air explosive warhead is massive. The steel fragments cut through concrete walls and hit the building behind the target, producing the puffs of dust. Susan Rice never watched a single combat video from any country, so she has no idea what was going on. Neither did the CIA or the Pentagon. It was all on YouTube. As for Trump letting Russia kill Americans with impunity, I'll remind people of this. Donald Trump is the architect of the greatest military defeat that the U.S. has ever inflicted on Russia. On February 7th, 2018, Trump authorized the total destruction of a 600-man Russian mobile detachment combat group at Deir ez-Zor, Syria, when it attacked about 40 American special operators. I'm sure that Rice had no idea whatsoever that at the end of the cartwheeling train wreck of the Obama administration, General John W. Nicholson Jr. quietly ordered a GBU-43B massive ordnance air blast, MOAB, to be sent to him in Afghanistan. Nicholson had the bomb dropped. Let's take a quick look. This is in FLIR, but it'll give you an idea of what we're talking about here. Bam. I don't know the scale on this, but it's a MOAB, and from what you learn, you'll have an idea in retrospect of what kind of scale we're looking at. All of Susan Rice's leftist buddies scratched their heads. Why he dropped air blast surface weapon on tunnels? Just a show. Ha ha ha. Trump's so stupid, he. They answered their question, but they're too stupid to know it. If the weapon is a surface weapon, what does that tell you about the target? Yes, the target was on the surface. What was the target? Don't, Susan, don't. From IndiaTimes.com or OneIndia.com, 500 Pakistanis, including ISI officers, blown up in mammoth Afghan bombing by US. The Covert Action Division of the Pakistani ISI are the guys who create, arm, and train Islamist terrorists. The US had been begging Pakistan for years to stop. Susan Rice failed to make them stop, so Trump simply had them all killed. From the article, quote, "The entire area that was bombed was under the control of the ISI officials backing the Islamic State," sources also said. The impact of the bomb was so huge that it blew up at least 500 Pakistanis and an equal number of Islamic State operatives. No way was the Covert Action Division 500 men. So that means we killed them all. The ISI used the Islamist Covert Action Division to hold the country hostage. Trump freed Pakistan, and now India and Pakistan are working out their differences. Obviously, we lured them into the area. This is how problems get solved. Susan Rice and the press don't know how anything works. They can't even get their story straight about Trump and the Russian bounty. First, they said he was briefed, and now they say he wasn't briefed. Ankle biters, no-see-ums, biting midges, biting gnats, punkies, sandflies. The dog barks, but the caravan moves on. Arab proverb. The barking dogs can't stop the Trump caravan. Arf, arf, Susan. Good doggy.